Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope you are having a sunny and drama-free day. Ready for some news stories I've prepared for you today? Let's go to the first one, about OP's daughter, who revealed a secret her mother kept from OP for ages. Listen to the story, guys, to find out what was the secret, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 39 male, had a daughter with my wife, 42 female, when I turned 20. My now 19-year-old daughter has grown up to be a bit of an attention seeker and has often spread lies about others to try and stir drama with herself at the center, playing the victim. Now, I honestly don't try anymore after I told her multiple times to stop and just tell her that she's digging her own grave. The main problem happened 6 days ago when my daughter came up to me asking for $200 to go to the mall with her friends. I refused, and she started pleading with me. I had already given her money during the month, so I told her no repeatedly. She slowly got more and more frustrated until she eventually screamed at me, asking what the point in having a rich guy marrying her mom was if he wouldn't give her daughter money. I immediately retorted, telling her that I was her father and that I wasn't some ATM she could just use any time. She started yelling until she blurted out that I was nothing more than an ATM to her, because I wasn't even her biological father. I was really appalled and asked her where she got that idea from. She realized what she said as she furiously tried to cover it up, until I told her I would kick her out if she wouldn't tell me the reason she said that. She told me that my wife sat her down after she turned 18 and told her that since she was an adult, she needed to know the truth. That my wife cheated on me with 3 different people during the conceiving period of her birth, and that there was a strong chance I wasn't her father, since I always used protection. She told my daughter to never tell me, since I'd been funding their lifestyle, and it was better if I didn't know and kept giving them money. I was shocked and heartbroken. When my wife came home, I confronted her and yelled at her after she confirmed everything. I told her to get out of my home immediately, and she started bawling, saying that I was cruel and that I needed to support her and her daughter, since I had been doing so all this time. I kicked both of them out, but I let my daughter get $200 in cash because I knew she wouldn't have a job or savings, and she was less to blame than my wife. I'm currently talking with my lawyer about pressing legal action against her and trying to get a divorce. However, she is being uncooperative. We ran a DNA test on my daughter, and it turned out that I wasn't her father. However, now my in-laws are telling me to take my soon-to-be ex back since she was young and made mistakes. My own family is telling me to take my stepdaughter back since she was raised like my own. But she kept a secret like this from me and tried to use me like her mother, so I said no. They are all blowing me up right now, trying to get me to change my mind. So, am I the a-hole? OP's wife has lied to OP all these years, and piece of crap stepdaughter has grown up to be a spoiled brat. OP should get a divorce as quick as he can, and try to find happiness with someone else, who will see him as more than an ATM. Wife defrauded OP and deserves to be sued. What comes of daughter? She also doesn't think of OP or treat him as a father, and started using OP a year ago. The way she spoke to OP says everything about her, so I think OP should go no contact unless she comes back apologizing on her knees, and not just to get money from OP, but to have a normal father-daughter relationship. And now let's see if the community agrees with my opinion on the matter. Psy Studies says, not the a-hole. I'm surprised your lawyer hasn't told you this, but stop talking to your in-laws. There is zero benefit to that. I would say stop talking to your wife and her daughter as well. Tell them everything needs to go through your lawyer. Otherwise, they will concoct more lies. It seems the daughter made the decision to not see you as a father figure. That could be because she's angry you didn't give her money, and she said it out of spite. But it more sounds like she's a spoiled brat, and she likely doesn't have any respect for you. Of course, her family and friends are acting like you were a jerk, and should take them back. They don't want to have to take care of her and her daughter. Tin Roof Sunday says, not the a-hole. Your wife had years to fess up and salvage the marriage, instead of lying to you in order to keep up her lavish lifestyle. Not because she loved you, just for the money. Remember that you're grieving the loss of the life you thought you had, and you're allowed to be angry while you process that. It's easy for outsiders to judge, but their hearts weren't just broken by a life-changing 19-year-old secret. But do remember that you loved your daughter for years as your own. So even though she's known for a few years, it's mostly her mother's fault, as daughter is a victim in this too. Try not to be too hard on her. She sounds entitled, but she is pretty much still a kid. Username Taken says, not the a-hole. Your ex is obviously the biggest a-hole. Your daughter made her choice when she yelled the ATM comment and said you're not her father. Let her live that truth. Your in-laws can take care of them since they have so much to say. Divorce, cut ties, move on, never look back, and don't give either of them another dime. My sister-in-law has kids who are a few years older than mine, and she was kind enough to keep some of their clothes aside to hand down. We've graciously taken a lot of the clothing over the years. Some of them end up as rags, some of them have been donated, etc. This past month, she handed off a bag of clothes for the summer. I sorted through the clothes, but there were unfortunately some clothes that I didn't really encourage my kids to wear. To be clear, the thing that I don't encourage is clothes advertising something, a brand, media, etc. My kids understand this and know that the rule is that I'm not going to buy them any of that crap. If they want to use their own money just so they can parade around advertising someone's brand for them, I don't stop them. And yes, me and their father model this behavior as well. My husband donates his company-branded fleeces as soon as he gets them. Anyway, my sister-in-law saw the donation pile had a bunch of her offerings. She got mad. She told me that it's a direct insult to her and her generosity. I told her that the clothes will still get used by someone. She told me I was being draconian and snobby, and that my kids are afraid to express who they are inside. I admit that when she said this, I did laugh, because my son is one of those kids who goes to school with nail polish and does things like slam poetry and chalk drawing clubs. Well, that's the issue. Am I the a-hole for donating some of the clothes from my sister-in-law all these years? Oh, just to be clear, for clothing donations, we actually donate directly to a church in our neighborhood, who does clothing drives. I think that's worth noting because places like Goodwill and the Ark have been marking up prices due to thrift resellers. Well, in my opinion, OP should have let her children choose if they wanted to keep those clothes or not, since OP didn't buy them, but they were a gift. It is also common courtesy in a case like this to ask the person if it is fine if OP can donate the clothes, or if they want them back to give them to someone else. I agree with sister-in-law that OP is snobby. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. All Crank No Spark says, "You're the a-hole. You do sound quite snobby, and you describe accepting the clothes graciously, then using them as rags, which is not gracious at all." Miss Frothing Slosh says, "Not the a-hole. OP is still donating clothes, and not to some huge nonprofit that will use the profits for advertising and awareness. The clothes are being gifted to churches, and last I checked, those sorts of places actually give out clothes to the needy. Even if they're reselling stuff in a rummage sale, church sales are infinitely cheaper. A gift shouldn't come with strings. If sister-in-law wanted to donate hand-me-downs, she doesn't get to be pissy when OP donates some too. Would sister-in-law be equally pissed if the clothes got donated because they didn't fit? I think not. OP is the mom. They're her rules. The children are allowed to buy what clothes they want. But it's totally understandable she doesn't want their drawers overstuffed with name-brand crap her kids might not even like or wear. Also, OP has the right to raise her kids with those beliefs. Plenty of people are raising their kids to be afraid of science and believe that humans existed alongside dinosaurs. OP is allowed to stick a middle finger up to capitalism if she doesn't believe bodies are to be used as billboards." DJ2 Supreme says, "You're the a-hole. Why take clothes if you're just going to give them away? Why not just say, 'Thank you for the clothes, but I think these should go to someone else'? Also, your reason for the kids not wearing them makes absolutely no sense to me, since every article of clothing have some brand on it. Also, why force your kids to not wear them when neither you or them are paying for them? They should get to choose to wear them or not." I was out at a happy hour with a few of my coworkers, James, Nate, and Ethan. I'm good friends with Ethan, but I don't know Nate too well, and I don't really care for James, though I've kept that to myself. So I was mainly there to hang out with Ethan. Nate and Ethan wanted to talk privately about some work thing, some disagreement with a client, and at one point, I was alone with James. I started to feel like he was hitting on me, being kind of flirty and touchy, and I was not into it. I was giving one-word answers and playing with my phone rather than reciprocating. I felt a little awkward telling him to stop it because he was towing the line of plausible deniability, and I felt like he'd probably just say he hadn't been doing anything. I turned on my phone's voice recorder app though. It is legal in my state to record like that, FYI. And it was on when James asked me if I wanted to get out of here. I asked to where, and he said maybe we could go to my car and listen to some music. And I said, and what else? And he kind of stuttered and said that he'd like to get to know me better and spend some time just with me. I asked, what about your wife? and he started telling me about how they're practically roommates, only together for the kids, and how she's probably been seeing other people too. I didn't say much, just nodded along for a while until he was done. Then I said, "Nah, I'm not into that," and I excused myself to the bathroom. I was pissed off that James would try to cheat on his wife. I've met her, and she's a sweet lady. I was also pissed off that he'd try to get with me, his coworker. I used to work at a different company with really crappy company culture, and I've become fed up with old married engineers who try to duck the new young employee. I just want to not deal with that. So I sent an email to James's wife, whose email I knew since she had replied to a company mailing list email about a holiday party. And I said, "I don't know if you remember me, but I'm OP, and I work with your husband. We met at the last company Christmas party. I'm really sorry to have to tell you like this, but your husband is trying to cheat on you. I know that might be hard to believe coming from a near stranger, so I've attached a recording of that." And I got a reply from her kind of lashing out at me for leading him on, and for trying to hurt her by attaching the recording, which really hurt to hear. I really wasn't trying to lead him on. The only reason I was asking leading questions like "to where" and "what else" were to get him to say what he was doing. But I'm questioning whether it was too much to send the actual audio. I feel for her. It must have hurt to hear. Am I the a-hole for sending that voice recording? Well, it looks like the wife is in denial and would rather put the blame on OP than her potentially cheating husband. Her logic is closely akin to telling girls to cover up so they won't attract unwanted attention. The whole leading him on comment is nonsense, as OP was just gathering evidence. A lot of people would say that OP should mind her own business. I'm a big believer in minding my own business, but in this case, the wife should be made aware of the situation so the problem won't spread. Being a bystander doesn't help anyone, and like OP said, people actually want to be aware if their significant other is being unfaithful. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Deleted user says, "Not the a-hole. I know I would want to know if my husband was acting like that. I wouldn't take her response to heart. This is such a difficult thing for her. I'm sure she is processing and will realize that her husband is the real a-hole." Hobbit Leaf says, "Not the a-hole. You did her a favor. I'd divorce in an instant if someone showed me evidence like that. Yeah, it hurts, but getting cheated on for years and years hurts way ducking worse." Mahogi says, "Not the a-hole times 1,000. Someone is trying to implicate you in their BS. You got drug into their marriage when he tried cheating on his wife with you. You tried to help a girl out. Society still blames women for men cheating. Just look at that POS Khloe Kardashian. They drug her publicly through the mud and left her husband out of it. This is the same crap, except you're not famous. I would want to know if my partner attempted to cheat, and one day he will cheat, and his wife will look back at this moment, and she'll be posting on here, 'Was I the a-hole?'" I feel like crap right now, but here we go. I work for a pretty pretentious company where everyone tries to kiss the boss's butt. We have a huge holiday party every year. It is always a fancy venue, cocktail attire, and great food. When I first started working there, it was something I was excited to take my wife to, but it is now something I dread. My wife gets herself so stressed over it that she is miserable for weeks leading up to it. She agonizes over what to wear, always goes over budget, and spends the whole day on hair and makeup. Then, when we get there, she honestly embarrasses me. And again, I feel like crap. Every year she tries so hard to befriend my boss's wife, who clearly wants nothing to do with her, and literally looks at her husband like, "Save me." I always feel my boss is laughing at me. Then she spends the next couple days making fun of my boss's wife and calling her a B, which I'm terrified is going to get back to them, because you know how gossip works. It's all very hard for me to watch. I've tried to talk to her about her behavior, but she gets defensive and nothing changes. This year I just couldn't take it. I told her there wasn't going to be a party, just lunch during the workday for employees only. My plan was to go alone and make an excuse for her. I hate lying, but I felt I'd given her multiple chances to change her behavior. So what am I going to do? At this point, she is hurting my career and hurting herself mentally. Unfortunately, she found out and is obviously furious. She feels I took away a huge night for her and is very hurt that I am embarrassed by her behavior. Striking Ad 1313 says, "Maybe not very popular, but I say not the a-hole. You have talked to your wife several times about this, and still she doesn't listen. It could harm your career. Talk to her again and keep repeating why you did this. Then maybe she will get the hint." Maroon Grad says, "Everyone sucks here. She is hurting your career. Full stop. Causing problems with your boss's wife, even unintentionally, is an issue, and one you have pointed out to her, and she chose to ignore and continue with. She is an a-hole for not working on fixing her behavior to not cause problems. However, you lied to her. It was to save her feelings, sure, and I commend you for that. But you knew that she really loved dressing up for this event. You needed to tell her that she wasn't coming this year, but exchange it for a date at a very upscale restaurant instead, so that she can take time to get dolled up. Based on your post, the chance to look good and show off in front of others may be what she really wants. Universe Child 9 says, if you tried to get her to promise to behave in a certain way, Reddit would have eaten you alive for trying to change your wife. Not to mention your wife's reaction. I don't condone lying, but sometimes, in all relationships, some white lies are necessary to spare hurt feelings. No good would have come from telling her the truth, as there was no way she would have taken that well, or, it seems, changed her behavior. I have a close relative who talks too loudly and is always saying inappropriate or tactless things. She hates it when her husband or anyone else corrects her, no matter how gently. Not the a-hole.